There is a point where people start responding to you differently before you've explained anything. You haven't announced a shift. You haven't shared a breakthrough. You haven't told your story, and yet something changes. People watch you more closely. Conversations carry a different tone. Reactions arrive slightly delayed, slightly measured. You feel it immediately, not as paranoia, as feedback. The world has detected a change in you before you've put words to it yourself. It often shows up sideways. A joke that lands with an edge. A comment that feels slightly evaluative. A casual remark like, "You're different lately. You've changed. You're very calm now." None of these are accusations, but none of them are neutral either. You feel the moment land in your body. A subtle tightening, a sense of being assessed. You didn't ask for this attention, but now it's there. Most men react immediately. They explain. They say, "I've just been working on myself. I've been tired. It's nothing, really." They offer context to reduce the tension, and for a moment it works. The other person relaxes. The conversation moves on. But something important just happened. You taught the environment that your internal state is open for discussion. And that invitation will always be used soon after the tests begin. Not confrontational tests, light ones. A boundary is nudged. A joke crosses a line. An expectation reappears quietly, and you notice it instantly. The test isn't about the thing itself. The test is asking one question. Is this change real, or is this change temporary? And how you respond trains the system. Explanation can so often feel like maturity, but at this stage it backfires. When you explain yourself, you invite interpretation, invite correction, invite negotiation, and you give people material to work with. And people who are unsettled by your change will use that material to re-establish familiarity. Not maliciously, instinctively. They want the old equilibrium back. Then something stronger appears. Projection. Someone reacts to you as if you are judging them, even when you're silent. They become defensive without provocation. They read criticism where none was actually offered. They speak to you as if you've made a claim you never made. You haven't changed your behavior towards them. What you have done, however, is change your internal coherence. And that internal coherence always exposes incoherence without effort. This is the part men must understand, or they will break or fracture. When people sense you have changed, they are not responding to who you are. They are responding to who they feel themselves to be in your presence. Your stability becomes a mirror. Some people like what they see, some don't. That reaction is information and not instruction. There will be moments when you feel misunderstood. You'll think, if I could just explain this properly, they would get it. They would get where I'm coming from. So you open your mouth, you start clarifying intentions, you soften language, you reassure, and immediately you feel the center shift. Not outwardly, inwardly, because you moved off your ground to manage someone else's interpretation. That is the quiet cost of these kinds of clarifications. Projection often escalates before it fades, because people test boundaries the way systems test loads. They apply pressure. They see if it'll bend. They see if you'll defend. They see if you'll collapse back into familiarity. If you react emotionally, the projection sticks. The hook has caught the fish. If you argue, it hardens. If you explain, it multiplies. If you stay aligned, it exhausts itself, and the fish is off the hook. You sit in a conversation where you are being subtly misread. You feel the deep urge to correct it, to clarify and to defend, and yet you don't. You breathe. You stay present. You don't harden. And you can feel the discomfort rise, and it peaks, and then it passes. Nothing dramatic happens, but something is trained deep down in you, and you know it, and the room knows it. Silence at this stage is not withdrawal. It's non-participation in the distortions. You are not punishing. You are not withholding. You are simply not engaging with what is not true. And this is so difficult because most men were trained to manage misunderstanding as a threat. Here, misunderstanding is allowed to exist, and that allowance removes its power. This phase is not resolved in one conversation. Days, weeks, and months may pass where people treat you cautiously, where dynamics feel slightly unstable. This is not regression, it's recalibration. The system is updating its understanding of you. If you interrupt that process by performing, you reset the clock and you start again from ground zero. But eventually, something changes. The tests slow down. The comments stop. Certain people disengage quietly. Others meet you more cleanly. Not warmer, clearer. You didn't correct anyone. You didn't confront anyone. And you didn't persuade anyone. All you did was stay consistent. And consistency always outlasts projection. When you're exploring this phase, you learn the following noble and honorable truths. You don't need to be understood to be aligned internally. You don't need agreement to hold your inner truth. You don't need to manage reactions to remain connected. This is not indifference. It's maturity, both in the human sense as well as in the spiritual sense. Some relationships won't survive this phase. Not because you rejected them, because they were built on access, interpretation, or instability. That loss is real, and it must be grieved without self-blame. If you chase every departing connection, you will end up abandoning yourself again, running after the mirage, running after the leaves in the wind. Once the world recalibrates itself toward you, a different responsibility emerges. Not just holding alignment, but carrying it visibly. Presence becomes leadership. Stability becomes influence. But that only comes after you stop interfering with the truth. That is where we head next on this journey of initiation.